And they're blaming it on the father.
Yeah, they blame Jerry. They blame him for everything.
Nobody had my father. I'm the only one who had my father.
I wish they had my father.
And my mother. My mother, there was no guilt there. See? My father would say, why don't you execute them? That's what you read it.
That's right.
You should, Ronnie, you're wasting a lot of time. Kill the son of a bitch. Or you say, kill me, because it was my sperm that made him. So kill the both of us, so I can't make another son of a bitch like this.
You sound like Gene Fidelity.
That's what I said. That's what I said to Jerry's kid one night. He came to town, flew in from California. Two things about Jerry because he thought I'd want to put him in the show. And I said to him, how old are you? He told me I was 40 years old.
It's over.
And it's over. And I said, I said to the kid, I said, you know something? You're right, but you're not looking at who's across the table from you. When you're with him, you're with a 15-year-old emotionally.
Yeah.
Nobody allowed him to ever mature or learn how to do anything. An only child, he has no skills, believe me. His skills are mine. He has no negotiating skills. Patty said that. She said he loved the kids until they started to talk to him.
Yeah.
Then he didn't want them anymore because he didn't know how to communicate. All right, let's start talking a little bit about, tell me about when you were coming up as a comic and what it was like to encounter like the Sinatras and Dean.
Well,
what did you see in
are we on now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was in the theaters when Frank Sinatra and the Dean Martins and the Jerry Lewis and the big bands, the Glenn Millers and the Woody Hermans. I was in the theater sitting there for 55 cents, get in 11 o'clock and leave 11 o'clock that night with a sandwich this big. And it was like my babysitter. The theater was my babysitter. And I would cut school and stay there and listen over and over, watch the movie over and over. And I got to become a distant friend from all these performers because I would see them as I was growing up consistently. When I knew that Sinatra was in town, I would go there. I would sneak in the back with all the girls running. I would be the only guy in the middle running into the Paramount Theater. I would get in for nothing. And I would sit there and just oogle. And I didn't understand because I was a young kid what they were screaming at. And I really, I said, what are they screaming? I couldn't hear his voice that well. And you look, I said, what are they, skinny kid, why? I'm going, why? And it just like shook me. I couldn't believe it, why? And when Dean and Jerry came along and
Why do you think it was, though? Staying on what?
My opinion is I thought they were sorry because he was skinny. That maybe he didn't have a sandwich, maybe he didn't eat this guy. And I'm saying maybe there's something wrong because he was not an attractive man in those days. His jaw was sunken in, and I'm saying, gee, this poor guy. Here he is, Frank Sinatra, and I think it was a Benny Goodman orchestra, if I'm not mistaken. And people were screaming. Benny almost jumped off the stage, and I'm saying this was like a shock to me. I said, gee, this guy needs a dish of macaroni for crying out loud. And the girls were screaming, and Frankie, we love you, Frankie, we love you. And then I said, can't happen. A second show, Frank, it went on, and this guy became a monster, and I went, wow. Is that show business? Maybe they gotta like you because you're skinny and you look depressed and the girls wanna help you. Everybody wants to mother him. I think that might have been maybe a fact they wanted to mother him. Because I as a man saw no sex appeal in him. I said, gee, if I was a girl, this guy would turn around and say, look, get an iron board, lay him down somewhere because it was I thought it was a terrible thing that maybe they were abusing this guy. But he just stood there, he had his hands like this here in the mic, and he was singing, long ago and far, whatever the heck he was saying, all or nothing at all. And they would sing, it's Frankie, Frankie, baby, Frankie, baby. And I'm going, what? I was waiting for the movie to come back, and we saw the movie again, and then he came on again.
It was a transformation. You remember Sinatra went from like the lonely guy who, like when Ava left him and everything. Then he went to swinging guy.
Wait a minute, let me tell you what happened. My first marriage, my honeymoon, we had the room where the camel sign was, because it was the cheapest room. When you opened the window and that camel sign went, smoke came into our room. So I turned around and I had said to my wife at that time, let's go see Frank Sinatra. He was in the doldrums. He was working at a place called the French Casino. Okay? We went down there. There was nobody in the room, maybe 20, 30 people. This is when he was really going through bad times. And there was a magician called Dominique, a guy, and he grabs me in the room. He said, do me a favor, please. He said, I'm going to touch your body to make believe that you don't feel me. I will pick up your check. I said, I didn't give a care. He made love to me in those days. You could pick up my check or you could feel me all over. And I'm waiting to see Frank Sinatra. Because, I started to become a fan, the music Columbia days, And he came out and he started to sing. And when he sang a ballad, you knew he was singing to this woman. You knew it. He was depressed. He was down. That was the last time I saw him at that particular, he had quit that night. And he went to Magambo, which was making, every guy was making Magambo, Bavango. He got jealous because she was with Clark Gable. And I said, geez, what a life this guy's leading. What a life this guy's leading. Meanwhile, Dominic is touching me all over, trying to grab my wallet, trying to go, I'm going, look. I said, that's about my wife at the time. I said, all right, this is show business. This is show business. I said, he's finished. It's gone. Never make it no more. It's over. It's over. Look at me, what a genius I am. It's over. Then, of course, from here to eternity, the guy you rejuvenated. Many stories of how he got the job. They said the boys, the girls, somebody got him the job, the horse on the bed and all this. That's beside the point. The man was destined to be what he is. One of a kind. We had Bing Crosby's, we had some of the great Dick Haynes, guys, Perry Como, God love him, I love Perry Como. Never had that kind of charisma magic that I seen. I grew up with this man, and then I worked with him. Oh, yeah, I worked with this guy. Imagine working with Frank Sinatra after waiting online to see this guy at the Paramount Theater. Because he was non-schooled, but educated, like all these guys that I grew up with. They came from a street. How do you learn show business? How do you become a talent from the street? Nothing can stop you. God said, that's you. It's not going to come easy, but that's going to be you. And these women became giants. Judy Garland, this woman could sing off key. You wanted to cry. You never heard her sing off key. She sang off key. One eye went down, one eye went up. All you saw was beauty. They had certain charisma. They were like angels. In my eyes, at that time, they were angels. Special, but never knew it. So God gave them a talent and said, you are going to be talented, but I'm going to punish you. You're not going to enjoy it. And they never found a way to enjoy it. Never sat down and said, let's dip the bread in the sauce. No, they leave half a thing, push it away. Enjoy it. Salivate. Is that the word to salivate? Enjoy it. Eat. No. What's next? Who's got? I got to make that. You're going to die. It's over. You're going to die. Where are you going? How many pictures can you make? How many concerts can you make? How many times can you sing Old Man River? I'm tired of that already. I'm tired of Old Man River. They pounded. And finally, it's over. And they say, why is it over? I say, well, you haven't changed. You're singing the same songs over and over. Here, Sinatra made Duet 1 and Duet 2. I said, Frank, why do you do it? You shouldn't have done it. Don't do it. Why are you singing with Julio when you're not in the room? Why are you singing with all these people? Why? All the greatness and the beauty of your voice stopped when you were ahead. But to sing with these people, he did a thing with Julio. I don't know if this story is true. Julio was in Argentina. And the window was open, and cows were going, "Mah!" And Frank was singing along with then there's, what's that noise? It was cows, Frank. Cows. And they had to do it over again. I don't know if that's a true story, but if it is, I could believe that. Everybody says, where's Frank? No, he don't show up. Maybe it wasn't Frank, I'm saying. Maybe it was a guy who impersonated, because nobody saw Frank after that. This is how this guy was. I don't know if it was a myth. Maybe there was no such guy called Frank Sinatra. I don't know. I tell you, I worked with him. All you saw these guys. Frankie mad at me. You think Frankie's going to hit me? I said, wait a minute, you're a tough guy. You got his tattoos on your tongue. What are you afraid of this guy for? He's like a rail. You give him right one in the nose, it's over. He's my Jesus. He's your Jesus? This is what tough guys were saying. And he walked around, and he'd say to me, hiya, kid. I said, I'm a kid? Hiya, kid. And then I told the story many times. That is a true story. He told Jilly Rizzo. He said, Jilly, tell Pat to take out the story about the saint with the statue. Jilly comes over and says, Frank says, take out that story with your mother with the statue. I said, that's a big hunk for me. It's a big story. Frank don't want it. That's why don't he tell me? Hey, don't start with Frank. Don't start. So I go to Frank Sinatra's dressing room, knock on the door. So Frank, he goes, yeah, kid. I says, what's the matter? Don't you want me to tell my story about my mother with the saint? It's a very funny story. He said, I never said nothing. Now, Julie's behind me, and I see him give Julie the eye, which I know he said. I said, Frank, by the way, do I tell you what songs to sing? That was the end of me. He looked at me, and Julie went, what you said? Now you're going to come down. Goodbye. I said, it's over. I don't tell him what to sing. You can't direct. I said, I told my mother to go scratch her neck. I told my father to go scratch her neck. I'm not going to worry about him. This is not my life. If it's over, it's over. You never work with him again. You got to be in the movies. I ain't going to be in the movies. All I want in life is my macaroni. I'm going to pass a little gas once in a while and die. Why did you get all crazy? But see, non-talented people that hung around him thought they were singing like him. They would put the hat the same way. They would shake their head. They'd snap their finger. Everybody could snap their finger. Going, these are tough guys. This is a guy would murder you for 25 cents. And I'm looking at these guys, I'm going, afraid of this? What are you afraid of? Hey, Frank, back off. You sing great. We love the way you sing. That's where it begins and ends. Don't give me no guff. This is my material. This is my tools. You take my tools away. Why? Because you're Frank Sinatra? That's wrong. It's wrong. I love you. I care about your work. That's it. Your personal life, I'm not interested. I don't want to know. It's none of my business.
Well, there are somebody told me a very interesting story about Frank and Dean with women in the 60s,
Mhm.
where Dean would say, look, whatever you have, please don't have these women calling on Thursday. Don't tell them you're gonna call them, don't send them flowers. That's your big mistake. You send them flowers, they think it's gonna be more, And Dean said, look, you wanna hang with me, we're not having the women call the suite constantly. But he said Frank always had that. I don't know what that Italian thing is, like, there's that famous story of Dean walking out of the recording session when Sinatra is doing yet another one of those songs of "You've left me, I'm dying, I love you, I'm the loneliest guy in town." Dean didn't like that. He didn't like sentimentality in that way.
I don't blame him. Because maybe all his life he had a lot of that. Then he's got to become a success and wind up with everybody saying, geez, I'm down in the dumps and I'm down. How can you be down in the dumps when you're such a great artist and you're gifted and someone said to you you're special and then you want to attack people for being special? Calm down. Calm down.
Do you think that was the difference between Dean and Frank?
The difference between Frank and Dean, in my opinion, was Dean was lazy. Dean, I think, could have been bigger than any of them. Dean could have, Perry Como, let me digress. Perry Como, very nice, all over television. Nobody knows he went. He went to the office. Where you going, Perry? I'm going home. It's over. He went home. No, he didn't have a press conference. Perry Como's leaving. Perry Como left. Perry Como's in Jupiter. Perry Como not coming back. Goodbye, Perry Como. Play little guy. What happened, Perry Como? It's over. He's telling you, avinu, as they say in Italy, finish, it's over. He plays golf, it's time, and he goes away, that's it. Frank Sinatra gets a pimple on his butt. Hey, Frank's got a pimple on the jaw, his ears coming down, his nose coming down. I'm dying over here, I got a cramp in my stomach, nobody gives a damn. He gets a fly, comes in the room, Frank don't like the fly, talk to the fly, get the fly, kill the fly, don't die. It's crazy. But why do people react to this man that way? I don't know. And I say this with tremendous love. The Pope don't get that kind of respect. The Pope, a man is holy God, got every Catholic on his hand. No, where's Frank? Where's Frank? The old story, they say Frank's standing here, the Pope's standing there. The guy says, who's that guy next to Frank? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I don't really believe Frank knew how strong and how great he was. Or how I think if he didn't sing no more, he says, I'm the boss of everybody, they would say, yeah, okay, follow him. We were going to the ocean. He's the Pied Piper. He is the Pied Piper of music. Everybody, great singers, better than Frank, great singers, were scared of him. Said, geez, I wish I could sing like him. Caruso was one of the great. I'm sure if he's alive, goes, geez, I can't sing like that. Pavarotti, these kind of guys go, why? They didn't know. Something about he had a rainbow around him, and for some reason he always looked beautiful. And that's such a gift to always look beautiful. And then I think he blew it I think if he had to live all over again, he would first of all get rid of some of the pain in the necks around him, and I think he would probably enjoy it more, and I think he might have been still with Ava Gardner. I really believe that, 'cause I think he really loved her, but you get big, you become a giant, then she couldn't work, she went over to England, well, Spain, she was going out with Toreador Harry, with the bull, with the thing, and that was all over. She died, Smoker dying, everybody, and he's still singing. He's in the back in a room somewhere, they're going, he coughed on the front page, he coughed, President got shot by 17 guys, Frank Sinatra coughed on the third page, President Kennedy, he ran the Kennedy thing. He was bigger than the president. They all were bigger than the president. Marilyn Monroe was bigger than the president that night. I'm saying, what happened to my country? Follow Sinatra. The hell with everything. No rules or regulations. That's why we probably loved him. He snapped his fingers. Hey, baby, give him another round. Give him another one. Give him another one. Put the hat at an angle. Had the right face. Because the man was not handsome. But he had magic, he had charisma, and I am at fault because I go, oh God, oh man. I saw him with Skitch Henderson at the Capitol Theater when things were bad. He had all white suit on, I think to get attention. Maybe he thought everybody forgot him. And he sang on top of the piano with a white suit, and the stage came up, and he's singing one of those all or nothings at all, stormy weather, and people were going, and I'm saying, gee, his poor career, but he had people right here. Right here. And when he lost his voice for a year, people making novenas. People going out wrong making novenas for this guy's voice. I get a sore throat, die, you bastard, who cares?
A little bit more towards me. Let me ask you, do you think that the reason that it seemed like Sammy was so obsequious was because Frank held he made it happen for Sammy? You think so? I mean, there's a lot of talk.
Nobody would have made it. Nobody but Frank Sinatra could have put Sammy Davis where he was. Frank Sinatra, first was never a racist kind of a guy. He cared about everybody being equal. Frank Sinatra put the holy roly on this man. because Frank Sinatra knew this is a great talent. And in order for this man to present it to the American public with all the racism going on, when Frank said this guy is great, they all paid attention. If he was the biggest bomb and Frank said he was great, they all paid attention. That was the beauty of this man. That's the strength of this man. But Sammy laid it down, boy. Let's forget about it. And you know the funny thing is, Sammy did everything wrong, right, wrong. He became Jewish. People thought he was nuts. I don't think Sammy knew why he became Jewish. I don't know. I just think it was, what's Thursday? Let's become a Jew Thursday. And he became a Jew. He was happy. You understand? Sammy wasn't really known as a singer. He was known as a hoofer. You know, get out there. All of a sudden, he's asking Frank about my voice. Frank says, do this, cut that beat. And the guy starts to sing, make hit records, great impressions all around. But you know something? If Sammy were white, it would never happen. Because the whole thing of Sammy being black, the wonderful thing of that culture, and the wonderful, I hope I got the ambiance of a man short and became sexy, became Cary Grant. He became everything. Kim Novak wanted to marry this guy. She wouldn't marry me, and I'm better looking than Sammy. You know, she wouldn't look at me. I'm going, she make him. I'm over here, you go over there. But he had something that woman liked.
Sammy's mom said that when Frank would be on the outs with Sammy, that there was no living with Sammy. Sammy was like devastated. Like sometimes he'd say something, Frank would like.
Sammy thought he owed him for the rest of his life. Sammy thought he christened Sammy Davis. He made Sammy Davis. And when Sammy Davis had problems, he was there with Sammy Davis. Nobody else was there. He was there. When Sammy took shots, and then Sammy had to live in different rooms. He was working the sands. He had to go, down the street, same with Nat King Cole, all these kind of guys. But Frank stood up and said, no, it's not got to be. It's got to be here. This is where it's got to be. So he was like a father, like a god to Sammy Davis. Sammy came from no place. Most of those guys came from no place, but at least they had the courage to say, hey, we're all fair, we're all equal, we're all on the stage. If you want me in your room, I got to stay in your hotel room, otherwise pass. So Frank stood up for that. Frank was always great for that. Frank was always an American kind of a guy. Say, hey, come on, let's cut it out. That guy's got the ability. And then the jealousy, when the Kim Novak, then what's his name, the guy from Columbia, Cohen, said, I'll kill you, I'll shoot you, that he wanted to marry the girl for 10 days that I worked with, I can't think of her name. He said he got married because he had to get married, or he thought they were going to throw him off a bridge. That took the stink off the Kim Novak situation, you know. And then he went back to basics, and he married Batista, whatever that poor woman's name, you know. And then he married My Brit, and then he married the other girl. And then what I didn't understand, with all the brains that these guys should have, and I think had, you know, you owe the government $5-6 million. Get divorced. Tell the wife, we got a debt divorce. This way, if I die, you're not stuck with the $5 million. But they don't think of that. If I thought I owed the government $5 million, wife, get divorced, yeah, you live over here, who cares? What's the difference? I don't want you to pay my. She wound up, she had to pay the bill, so nobody really cared. See, that's the only thing that bothered me. The family and others, they should have cared about that, really cared about them. They should have said, see, I have a couple of grandkids. I care about them. It's not an obligation. It's something I want to do because I have to do it. That's the way I was raised, okay?
You know, you said an interesting thing to me when we were downstairs. You said that when Peter Lawford left, the Rat Pack changed. It wasn't the same. Now, most people don't even know what Peter Lawford
The missing link.
Why was Peter Lawford the missing link?
He was charismatic with those other guys. You took him out of that. That was the thing that didn't fit. That was the piece that didn't fit. When the three guys went at the Rat Pack was over. It had to be those kind of guys. Everyone that I know that were there and saw it at the Sands said, we saw the greatest we ever saw. They were making movies in the afternoon, dropping dead at nighttime with their shows. They said, we have never seen anything, it's equal. All of a sudden, a year later, Peter and Frank are on the outs, and now it's 3 or 4 guys. It didn't happen. People are saying, well, we only saw the 4. I say, because the true Rat Pack was the 5 guys. That was the true Rat Pack. And those who saw 4 felt cheated. I missed. It was great, but Peter wasn't there. Peter didn't mean that much, but they said we didn't see the original. That's what it is. Peter, people are that nuts. I didn't see the original. What's the original?
Well, was Lawford good when he was with Durante? Remember when?
Well, I think no. See, another one.
Did you ever see him? You
I
never
worked
saw
with
that.
Durante. I worked with Durante.
Durante's a doll.
A doll. You're talking about one of the nicest. I worked with him at Palumbo's in Philadelphia, and he did it to be nice to Peter Lawford. He really did. He didn't need Peter Lawford. Durante didn't need nobody.
Well, do you remember that famous first show that Jerry Lewis did when he did his first like Johnny Carson show, and they surprised him and they brought Durante out?
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing Durante says to Jerry is, "Hey Jerry, how's Dean?" And Jerry is like, he can't think on his feet. He goes, oh, you mean the guy that used to work for me? Like,
yeah.
worst thing he could say. And then he says, yeah, I hear he's doing great. And Durante says, thank God. Like, the guy who produced the show told me the entire audience.
Durante
like
could wipe you out, and after he insults you and didn't know he insulted, you'd cry. You want to kiss him. He had that kind of magic. Jimmy Durante couldn't sing, but yet he could. Jimmy Durante had a tear in his voice, and Jimmy had a roughness. It was like Louis Armstrong. God love Louis Armstrong. I mean, you hear these guys sing, and you go, oh, brother, why? A Vic Damone, in my opinion, is probably as good a singer, or Matt Monroe, probably as good a singer as anyone on the planet, but did not have the Jimmy Durante in them. That's certain something. And this is not a knock to either one of these singers, but I adore both of them. Unfortunately, we no longer have Matt Monroe, who was one of my favorites also. But Crosby had it. Crosby turned around. He was a good actor. Crosby, he did all that stuff. People loved him. He whistled in the songs. It was wonderful. Everybody's just afraid to take those kind of chances.
What did Joey Bishop have? You know, people have actually told me that he was like the connection to the Jewish wing of the mob.
No, that's a crock.
But he never had any career
Joey
really
Bishop
before
had the career that he had to have. Joey Bishop was one-dimensional. Joey Bishop was considered Frank Sinatra's comic, period. He had a series. They said, that's the guy with Sinatra. He had this, that's the guy with Sinatra. He that's the guy with Sinatra. So Joey, with all due respect, was limited in what he did. Joey on his feet was one of the greatest. And Joey could have still been around today. He refused to open for anybody. He said, hey, I'm Joey Bishop. I'm not going to open, which is okay. That's his choice. And if he's listening, I love you, Joey. You did the right thing. Fine, that's you. But Joey was with that crowd. They had him, you stamped, it's over. When he stepped out of that, he really didn't get the recognition because he was one-dimensional with the Sinatra thing and off the top and some of the clips that he said and working with Frank at the Cope and some, I mean...
But you know, he's 82 years old, and I can't find any record of him before the Rat Pack. I don't know what...
There was no record of him before there. He was partners with another guy. It was the Bishop brothers. He was the Bishop brothers. It was like a vaudeville thing.
Was Rummy? Was that it? Rummy?
I don't know if it was, yeah, I think it was Rummy. They were partners. Then he stepped out and happened to work in front of Sinatra. I may have the story a little wrong, but, you know, and his line at the Copa, when he walked down the steps, he was with Sinatra at the Copa, the place was mobbed. And his opening line was, well, my people are here, when is this going to show up? And, which at that time was a lot of nerve to say that he was talking about Frank, but they loved it and they laughed. And he really opened the kidding around about Sinatra kind of thing. The Pat Henry, who worked with Frank for 14 years, got the credit for that. The Don Rickles. Joey was the guy. Joey would turn around to, Frank laughed at everything Joey said. But see, Joey, let's look, Joey was classy. Joey had a real put a tuck. See, Joey was classy. I mean, with all due respect to Rickles, I like Rickles, but Rickles like he's talking from a push cart. Rickles, he's talking from a push cart. Joey was talking from like a maitre d' kind of guy. How are you? He'd throw a couple of words to you, walk into the table, and you give him 20.
He was also political?
Absolutely. And
Which Frank liked?
He listened to what he knew his position, and he no waves. Joey, if you're listening, he got a lot of money. Joey got a lot of money, very smart. He's on his boat. He's just laying in nice and quiet, a pastrami sandwich, and it's over. That's what I like about these guys. Him, Perry Como, where's Joey? It's over. Wonderful. They had their life, they had their love, and now the young kids are coming along to annoy us. There you are. I lived through that great era. It's over.
You know, that's somebody, Shecky Green, somebody saying, you know...
Giant. You just said the word giant.
Well, I'm interviewing him in Vegas, but I talked to Shecky, and he said, no, he said, you know, don't forget, Don Rickles was there. He was hanging out with K-Star in the 40s.
Need a new tape.